You want to know the difference between a basic level wakeboard and an advanced high-end level wakeboard? I'm going to break that down for you here today. What's up everybody, this is Mitch from BoardCo. I am going to be giving you a rundown on the different wakeboards that are available and to show you what the difference is between a beginner level or a basic level wakeboard and a super high-end pro model wakeboard. What the differences are between the construction, the features and designs of the board, and how they're each going to ride differently and why one board might be a better pick for you when you're checking out different boards. Now I've got two boards that I'm going to use to illustrate my point here. So one of them is one of our most popular beginner-based wakeboards, which is a Liquid Force Trip right here. And the other one that I'm going to talk with is another one of our super popular boards, which is a Ronix RXT, which is about as high-end of wakeboard as you can get. And as you can see, they're both wakeboards. They both will function and ride great on top of the water. You'll be able to have a lot of fun on them. But there's some very distinct differences between the boards, and they're going to ride very differently from one another. This doesn't necessarily mean that one board is way better for a first-time rider and another board is way better for an advanced pro-level rider, though that may be the case. Really, it's just a difference between one board that is a great board and a board that's just a lot better. And I'll show you the differences between them. So, to start off, first thing to talk about is I'm going to talk about the trip board and talk about it in the basic board and point out a couple of the features that are unique to basic level wakeboards. Now, the first thing I want to point out here is, even though I'm calling this a basic level wakeboard, this is not a super low-end cheap board. This is a full compression molded wakeboard. There's guys that take this board and that are sponsored riders that will go and ride on it just because they like the way it feels and they like the way it performs. And there's no doubt you could put a pro level rider on this board and they'd be able to do all kinds of stuff and it's not going to break the board. There's some really basic boards that are out there, especially if you're shopping on some places like Amazon.com or Walmart or something. There's a lot of boards that are what's called rim mold wakeboards that are manufactured and built very differently. So this one is a compression molded wakeboard, meaning the way it's built is that it's got a piece of foam that is shaped and cut with a CNC machine. Then it's put in between two layers of fiberglass with resin, and it is put in a press and pressed down in order to compress all of the materials together and create a board that is what we refer to as compression molded. It's a great way to build a board. It's fairly lightweight, it's durable, it holds up well, it rides great on the water. There's a few other levels of construction that are below this, but they're not something that we carry here at BoardCo. We think you need actually really good stuff to ride, and you can save a few bucks, really not that much, and go to a rim molded wakeboard, which is basically where they put two shells together and inject foam in between it. But those boards aren't going to hold up well, they're not going to ride very well, and they just are not very good performing. So when we're talking about this, we're talking about a good performing basic level wakeboard that will be up to snuff for just about anybody, but isn't going to be a super high-end board. Now, going along those lines. First off, like I mentioned, compression molded construction. Great way of building a board, not necessarily the highest end construction method, but it still gets the job done and does a great job. Next thing about it is the bottom design and how the board is contoured. Now, this is not specific necessarily to a basic level wakeboard, but one of the things that is important to point out with basic level boards is they're generally speaking designed to be really rider friendly. What that means is that literally anybody could get on this board and they could get up and ride and they'd be able to have a good experience and it wouldn't just be working them over. They'd be able to get up, ride, they'd be able to get a feel for the board. It's going to be a great board for cutting and maneuvering around. It's going to be a good board for learning to jump the wake. It's not going to be really explosive in its pop. It's not going to be really aggressive in the way it cuts. It's just going to be really vanilla, and that's kind of the idea. It's almost guaranteed to not be the perfect board for you, but it's also just about guaranteed to not be a board you're going to hate, and that's kind of the idea. So a lot of basic level wakeboards will have a similar type of shape to this, which is a little bit a medium width running through the board, medium tail width as you go down to the tip and tail. You have fins that are here on the outside. In this case, on the trip, they're molded in. And then you have a center slotted fin that plugs in here that is removable, that just adds some additional stability when you're first getting up and riding, and it's just going to give you a little bit more of a locked in feel. As well as the rocker profile, the way the curvature of the board is just kind of in the middle, mediocre all the way across the board. And it's not going to have any really aggressive channels in the bottom, but it's typically going to have some channeling to the bottom of it to just control the flow of water. So pretty much everything about the board is just standard, a little bit basic, but it's going to do a really great job in riding. Now, let's look over and contrast that with the RXT here. As I mentioned, this is about as high end of a board as you can get. This is featuring Ronix's blackout technology. What that means is the core of the board and all the materials and the way they put it together is actually so high end, they don't really release and give you a breakdown of how they do it because it's their proprietary technology. But what it boils down to is a few different things. Number one, the board is a lot lighter. It's much, much lighter. And some of that is because you want to have a lighter board to have less swing weight. The other benefit of having a board that is lighter is actually because it's going to rebound and snap back into place faster. There's another video that we did about flex patterns that gives you a lot more detail on this. But really what it boils down to is as the board flexes and comes into the wake, it's going to snap back into place much quicker. What that means is that the pop and the release you get off the wake is going to be a lot more exaggerated because the board is going to assist you in snapping back, not just your body propelling you up into the air with how you're cutting into the wake. So it's going to really help you on that regard. Other aspects to it is in this particular case, this board has urethane sidewalls. They call it speed walls for Ronix that makes the board faster and more aggressive. It's also super durable, so I can snap it against concrete right there. It doesn't hurt the board at all, where if I did that with a compression molded board, it wouldn't hold up as well. And the interior guts of the board are a lot more sophisticated. I don't know if you can see right here from this in the lighting, but this board right here, you can actually see different colors of the interior from the different guts on the inside of the board. You've got rods of carbon fiber that are run through here. You've got different material blends and different weaves of carbons and glasses at different points on the board to reinforce certain areas and to lighten up certain areas so it flexes and moves differently. The whole idea of this is to give you two things. Number one, a better performing ride, as in that it's going to edge faster, it's going to snap off the wake more aggressively, it's going to land softer than a typical board. The other thing that you end up getting is you get a more precise connection with the water, which sounds a little weird, but I'll try to explain what that means. When you're riding one of these boards, you're going to feel the water a lot better. It's going to give you a lot more of a connection to the water, which means as you roll onto your toe side edge, as you roll onto your heel side edge, you're going to feel where the board is under your feet much better. It's going to give you a lot more control, and you'll have a lot more sensitivity to what's going on with the water underneath your feet with your board. It's really a great sensation, and it makes you feel a lot more comfortable and a lot more in control. This particularly is beneficial as you come up the wake and come up off the top of the wake. You're going to feel like you're more in control in the air. Nobody wants to be the guy that comes up off the wake and does the yeehaw cowboy arm that goes up here like you're in a rodeo, or you don't want to come off the top of the wake and have the windows rolling down with your arms going like this because you got all out of control. It's going to make it so you feel a little bit more in control. So even though this board snaps off the top of the wake more abruptly, generally speaking, you're going to feel a little more comfortable with it just because you have a better connection to the water as you're approaching into the wake and coming up the top of the wake. So that's one aspect. Now, the other aspect to high-end boards, and this has to do with the other things I mentioned with the higher performance, is as you go to different pro model wakeboards and to higher end boards, they become a lot more specialized. What I mean by that is that the boards are, as you start at the bottom, it's kind of like an inverted pyramid. As if you go to the baseline level boards, there's only a handful of options to choose from. And the reason why is because they're designed to be vanilla. This one is kind of designed to be more like, pralines and cream special edition, or triple chocolate chunk, whatever you want to call it as far as your ice cream goes. It's going to be a lot more specific to the exact taste that you want. Do you want a fruity ice cream? Do you want a chocolatey ice cream? Do you want a caramel ice cream? I don't know. But as you go up that inverted pyramid, up to the top of it, the higher end the board that you go, the more options that there are that are going to be different boards that ride and perform in different ways. So just as an example, within the Ronix lineup of boards, there's a few boards at the top of the pyramid. There's the Ronix RXT, there's the Ronix 1 Time Bomb, there's the Ronix Supreme, and there's a number of others. All of these different boards are boards that are going to ride different depending on the characteristics of how you ride. Your body type, how you approach the wake, how you maneuver on the board, and even things like the kind of boat wake that you're riding on. As an example, the RXT is a continuous rocker board. It's gonna handle a big wake better for a lot of people than a Ronix one board will that has a really aggressive 3-stage rocker line. So they have different things like different bottom channel designs, different fin setups, different rocker lines, different materials that the board is made out of. All of those different factors are going to produce boards that ride differently depending on how you want to ride. The idea behind that is as you progress and get better as a rider, what you're looking for in a board is going to change. But the one thing I can almost guarantee you is, regardless of who you are and how you ride, it's almost guaranteed that there's a high-end board that will work better for you than any low-end board. As I mentioned, this is just kind of basic vanilla. It's gonna get the job done and do a great job, but it's not designed for you, where it's just about guaranteed that there's a high-end wakeboard that is designed specifically for the way you ride, and figuring out what that is one of the really fun aspects of wakeboarding. Are you a rider that wants to just crank into the wake super fast and aggressive? Are you a rider that likes to take your time and mellow in? Are you wanting to snap off the top of the lip and do flips, big tantrums going way out into the flats, or are you wanting to do a mellow 360 and go wake to wake? There's different aspects to how the boards are going to perform that are going to complement the way that you specifically ride and how you want the board to perform. And so when you're looking around, it's okay to get a basic level wakeboard, especially if you're getting one that's designed for the entire boat. But if you're getting a board for you specifically, I highly recommend investing in a higher end level wakeboard and a pair of higher end level boots, because they're going to give you the best possible experience when you're on the water. It's amazing what happens when you get the right board under your feet that makes you feel way more comfortable. You end up being able to land more stuff, you progress way faster, and it ends up being a lot safer. I had that experience with me. I had a number of injuries early on wakeboarding. I got on a board that just fit me right, and my crashes were way less frequent and typically less severe. And that's just because I felt so much more in control, even when I was in the air learning new tricks. It's really a great thing to have. So hope this has been helpful. If you got any questions about boards specifically, or which board may be the right high-end board for you, reach out to our customer service guys and our sales team. They can fit you exactly what you want. They've ridden just about everything that we carry here at our store. They really want to know the product and really get dialed in on all the specific details to make sure you get the right board that is going to be the perfect fit for you as a rider. Thanks a ton for spending some time with us. We appreciate it a lot, and we'll see you later. Hey, thanks for checking out this video. If you want to check out more videos like we have, click the subscribe button below and check out the other videos on our channel. We really love the opportunity to be able to share our knowledge and our love of water sports and all the stuff we have going on with you guys. So if you give us a thumbs up, click the bell, click subscribe, and everything else, we would appreciate it a ton, and we can keep you informed. Thanks a ton. We'll see you later.